Huh?
You're live.
Oh, I'm live now? Oh, I didn't even realize that. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing me up, and I hope that you'll have a great time there also. Hello there to you, Nikki. Trust you had a great day. How is school? Mm, one of the fine Jamaicans in the United States. I hope you'll come back to Jamaica soon and share with us a little bit of what you have learned um, over there. Big up yourself and all those concerning you. Hello there, Caroline. How you doing? Caroline? Hi. Hi, Caroline.
Well, hello. Hi, neighbor. How are you?
Well, boy, the time is hot here in Jamaica. How is the weather there in Florida?
Well, we're having a lot of rain.
Lot of rain. Oh, we could do we could do a bit with the rain in Jamaica here. Well, what a great day today is. You doing okay?
Doing very well, thank you.
All right. Let me see if I can turn you up a bit. Right. Okay. We are on the backup page, Caroline. You want to talk to the listeners?
Of course. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Please tap the screen, share the live, asking everyone to send the heart me's and repost the live, please. I think that's it, neighbor. Have a great show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So the taxi fares are going up, and I want to cast that in light of the. By the way, we want to get to the talk your mind issue. Well, the talk your mind at as early as we can, so that we can take as much of your calls later on. Um, a minimum wage is not designed to make a person prosperous. The minimum wage is not designed to make you prosperous. The minimum wage is designed to establish a floor beneath which society will not allow labor to be compensated. All this talk about the minimum wage increase is because people do not understand what a minimum wage is. The minimum wage was established under the Employment Act, the Minimum Wage Employment Act in 1975. That was during the administration of Michael Manley. The policy emerged from the democratic socialist philosophy of the 1970s. And that philosophy sought to guarantee basic protection for workers. So the minimum wage was designed to establish the floor beneath which the society would not allow labor to be compensated. Since 1975, the government, led by the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, they have maintained the principle of statutory minimum wage. The minimum wage was established under Michael Manley. The minimum wage has changed. The historical data suggests that in the year 2000, the minimum wage was $1,200 a week. In 2005, it was at 2,400. In 2010, the minimum wage was $3,700 per week. In 2015, the minimum wage was $5,600. In 2020, $7,000. In 2023, $13,000. I want to make a point up front. The People's National Party created poverty. Let that sink in. There are many people today running up their mouths talking about minimum wage, and they don't understand it. And you know, there is this argument about livable wage. It's a bit of nonsense, because a lot of you talking don't know how an economy works or works. The People's National Party institutionalized poverty. And out of poverty came dependency. And out of dependency came clientism, patronage. That's the problem we're having in Jamaica today. It's not about the minimum wage. The minimum wage is not the real issue. Remember now, the minimum wage in 2000 was $1,200 a week. In 2025, the minimum wage is $16,000 a week. And in 2026, the minimum wage moved to $17,000. The minimum wage has increased more than tenfold since 2000. And recent increases have especially been large, which tells me that the Jamaica Labour Party is creating prosperity. Now, prosperity is like a tree. When you plant a tree, it don't grow overnight. And even when it grows, you have to wait for it to blossom and then produce the fruit. Michael Manley instituted poverty. Poverty was institutionalized by Manley. Poverty mushroomed under Pattison. Andrew Holness is fixing that institutionalized poverty. Go ahead with no arguments. The arguments about those things. Oh my God. It's a fallacious argument. You don't understand what you're talking about. I saw the Minister of Transport with a wishy-washy statement. Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips don't know what he's talking about. Don't know what he's talking about. Between 2016 and 2025, the minimum wage rose by 158%. 158%. The crucial question is not whether the minimum wage has increased. The crucial question is, has it increased faster than inflation? Over the long run, Jamaica experienced periods of very high inflation, especially during the 1990s. Now, if the minimum wage was so low during the 90s and inflation was so high, then you realize that those who were earning the minimum wage were pauperized. They were very poor.
Asking everyone to repost the live and send the heartbeats.
Very poor. Poverty was institutionalized and there was no answer. During those years, wage increases merely allowed workers to keep pace with rising prices. There was no improvement to the standard of living over the period of the Patterson era. None. There were no increase in the standard of living during the 90s. Wage increases only kept pace with rising prices. At one time, inflation was as high as 40%. 40%. However, during the last decade, and a decade is 10 years, the last 10 years have been Jamaica's best years in the last 30. Comrades, the last 10 years on every matrix you measure, and I crunched the numbers today, I looked at it. Every indicator suggests that the last 10 years have been the best over the last 30 years. Jamaica's position today is better than it was over the last 30 years. You have to discount some figures in there for Melissa. So while inflation has certainly eroded some gains, a worker earning the minimum wage today has seen nominal growth in his wage, far exceeding inflation rates in recent years. What is the point? That even with taxi fare increases, the minimum wage worker is far better today than they were 10 years ago. That's not me saying that. That is a fact. This country struggles with civic literacy or illiteracy, and there is not sufficient expounding and exploring the nuances of complex issues so that people understand them. That's why propaganda is such a heavy price on the nation today. Because I am not sitting here telling you that life is easy. What I am telling you is that were the People's National Party in power, the minimum wage would not be $17,000. It would not be. And they would not have inflation under control. They can't do it because they don't know how to manage a modern economy. They are socialists. The Caribbean, you see, presents us a mixed picture. The Cayman Island is not doing bad in terms of wages. Bermuda is also up there. Both the Cayman Islands and the Bermuda have substantially higher wage ceilings. Jamaica compares favorably with Trinidad and Tobago, St. Lucia, and the Dominican Republic. Many Jamaicans, you see, argue, and this is the argument of the People's National Party, that the minimum wage should be a livable wage. That is a moral argument. But there has to be you have to distinguish between what is a minimum wage and what is a livable wage. Now, a minimum wage is the legal floor. The minimum wage does not mean that is what you are to get. The minimum wage is the threshold. In other words, you are not to get below that. But that is not your economic and productive value. That is the error that is being made in Jamaica, where businesses are only paying the legal threshold. The threshold is only there to prevent abuse. It is not the salary. So then you could argue philosophically that there is no minimum wage in Jamaica. There's no minimum wage. The minimum wage is euphemistic. It's like the law. It's a legal framework under which employers are to pay. There is a distinction to be made between the minimum wage and the living wage. The living wage is the amount needed to sustain a reasonable standard of living. Now listen to the absurdity of that now. Who it is that determines your standard of living? Who determines that? Government? And these are really the same thing anywhere in the world, even in wealthy countries. Minimum wage earners frequently argue that they cannot comfortably afford housing, transportation, healthcare, and food. Similar debates occur in the United States, Canada, Britain, and throughout the Caribbean. The question before us is, should the minimum wage guarantee survival, dignity, or comfort? Now let's drill down that now to the current fare increase. The current criticism that a fare increase and inflation are eating away minimum wage gains is not an irrational comment. People are experiencing prices, and when people are experiencing prices, they really talk about statistics. If transportation, food, and rent raise, citizens naturally feel poorer. But I want you to understand that government operates within constraints. A country dealing with global inflation, energy price volatility, climate-related disasters, infrastructure rebuilding, debt obligation, cannot simply legislate prosperity into existence. The government cannot legislate prosperity into existence. Poverty was institutionalized from the 70s, and the back of poverty is taking its time to be broken. It cannot be done overnight. You have to allow a process. And Jamaican people, top make people fool you know. Top make people turn in a fool. You know, legislate prosperity. It is a process. A wage increase does not create wealth by itself. And if the government moved the minimum wage to $25,000 tomorrow, the situation in the country is worst. And you ask me how? Well, I will tell you. If the minimum wage goes to $25,000 tomorrow, a lot of people will not have a job. And that is why I tell you last night, you know. By the way, the Jamaica Labour Party published a record of achievement. PNP don't have no argument in Jamaica. You know. They can't win no debate. That's why they don't come up on this program. Because they are a propagandist party. And we don't deal with propaganda up here. We deal with facts. And I don't get into rubbish arguments. The Jamaica Labour Party put out a book. They call it the Record Achievements. I'm going to go to page. Well, they don't page it. I'm going to go to the section that is called Building the Economy and Creating Jobs. I'm going to read for you. Since 2016, the government has worked hard to grow the economy. You hear that? Let me tell you this.
Asking everyone to repost the live and send the heart display.
It is a flipping pipe dream. And I will tell you this, my listeners. I always tell you that I will never come here and lie. It is a pipe dream to think that we can improve the lives of our people without growing the economy. If you are going to improve the lives of your people, you must, you what? MUST, you must grow the economy. James Carville, former advisor to President Clinton, made that famous statement. It is the economy, stupid. If you don't grow the economy, you cannot create prosperity. It cannot happen. And the institutionalized poverty of the 1990s is taking its time to be erased out of the Jamaican DNA. Don't listen to the PNP and them foolishness. There is no magic wand that you can wield when 40,000 businesses collapsed in the 1990s. You don't recover from that easy. In a country that has very low productivity, it is the economy. I'm reading from the book published by the government. They said that by cutting down debt, reducing taxes, no, they did what? Cut the debt. Where did the debt come from? 140% of GDP. You know what that means? That for every dollar the country produces, the value of the economy, you could say the value of the economy is inflated by 44%. So all the productive capacity of the economy could not pay the debt that Jamaica owed. You had to borrow 44% more to pay the debt. And then you had to borrow to fix one single pothole and to buy one Panadol in the hospital. If you want to talk about minimum wage and poverty, tell me if that's not poverty upon poverty upon poverty. Because when the entire value of your economy is not capable of paying down your debt, then you're in big trouble. Reducing taxes, attracting investment, and supporting local entrepreneurs and businesses. We were able to create more jobs. You hear that? They were able to create more jobs. Jobs have a significant multiplier effect on the growth of an economy. Because when people are working, the multiplier effect is amazing, you know. Because think about the taxi man, the barber. Every area of the country that people are spending. Put more money in people's pockets and improve public services to everyone. Here are some of what we have delivered for you. Here are some of the things that the government delivered for you. More Jamaicans lifted out of poverty. In 2015, over 21% of people were living in poverty. Think about that. That is almost 700,000 Jamaicans living in poverty. In other words, they were not even earning the minimum wage. 20% of Jamaica in 2015 under the People's National Party. 700,000 Jamaicans could not even buy a pound of saltfish. When Mr. Hales called it saltfish. They couldn't buy saltfish. 700,000. By 2023, Andrew Holness cut poverty by 50%. Andrew Holness has taken more than 400,000 Jamaicans out of poverty. I don't know how this government didn't win by a landslide, you know. You want to tell me that all those them 400,000 people don't realize that they were taken out of poverty? Listen to this.
Can everyone please repost the live, please, and send the hearties?
In 2015, the country owed more than it earned. You hear that? In 2015, Jamaica owed more than it was earning. I'm going to say it for a third time. Comrades, back up. Back up and listen. When Andrew Holness took over government, the country owed more than it earned. Jamaica was a bankrupt country. And you're going to tell me that minimum wage must reach $20,000 already? Lie you a tell. It's a fallacious argument. It's a dishonest argument. And you know, Mr. Phillips, your father was the finance minister. And he said that when he went to the IMF, you know, he wouldn't want any more finance ministers to go through what he went through. In 2015, when Andrew Holness took office, Jamaica owed more than it earned. Today, that is before Melissa, we have reduced the debt to the lowest level in 30 years, freeing up funds to invest in school, roads, healthcare, and communities. No new taxes in 8 years straight. This has provided stability, helping every household and every business, no matter how big or small, to plan and manage their budgets. Workers are taking home more pay. The Jamaica Labour Party raised the income tax threshold, listen to this, from 592,000 when the PNP left office. Jamaicans were burdened by taxes. The taxes for the income tax was 592,000. You know what it is today? $1.9 million. There is no Jamaican listening to me that is worse off under the Andrew Holness-led administration. Not one single one. There is no politician that is not better off. None. There is no teacher in Jamaica that is not better. There is no policeman that is not better. No soldier, no nurse. Every single Jamaican have seen improvement in their lives under the Labour Party. They reduced GCT, transfer tax, stamp duty, and remove some taxes altogether, such as the minimum business tax and asset tax. I'm reading from the party's book of accomplishment. For the first time in Jamaica's history, working people got a $20,000 tax credit from the government. The first time in the history of Jamaica, the government gave back $20,000 tax credit to Jamaicans. Listen to this. More than 250,000 new jobs were created. more than 250,000. 250,000. This Andrew Holness government created more than 250,000 new jobs. Kiss me next side. And you come up here and tell me about minimum wage? Huh? Hold on there. Let me tell you this. Listen to the the friends of the I don't know how this government is not getting more credit, I don't know. Anyway, listen.
Equal rights and justice is our everlasting song. Unity and progress will make our nation strong. Stand up for your rights when you hear the bell. Stand up for justice, hear the freedom bell. Remember, Buster Manton, he served you well. Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
That's it. Stand up when you hear the bell. That is courtesy of the friends of the Jamaica Labour Party. Big up on yourself. 250,000 new jobs. The PNP have to just look on here. What them doing in a parliament? Let me ask them the question. What them doing in a parliament? I see them putting on sectoral debates and pretty flyers and all them foolishness. Huh? Lowest unemployment rate in Jamaica's history. Minimum wage has been raised to the highest level ever. Ever. Stronger savings and stable dollar. Prices kept steady. Better job security for public workers. They made almost 14,000 government contract workers permanent. And government workers are paid better. We reform the system to pay fairly and keep good talent in the public service. Yes? There's just too much to read here. We'll get back to it. So wealth is created through productivity. Wealth is created through investment. Wealth is created through enterprise, education, and economic growth. Much of the criticism surrounding the increase in public transportation fares focuses on a legitimate concern. The concerns are real. However, we need to be fair in our analysis by asking some deeper questions. What are the actual choices available to a government operating in a difficult global environment? What are the choices the government have to make? And the first point I think is that inflation is not uniquely Jamaican. Over the past several years, countries around the world have struggled with higher fuel prices, supply chain disruptions, increased shipping costs, and the broader inflationary pressures. Jamaica imports much of what it consumes. including fuel. And so as a result of global shocks, inevitably, it affects local prices. And there are some people in Jamaica suggesting that if Mark Golding was Prime Minister, Bula would be $50. Inflation is not something that is unique to Jamaica. The second point is that governments do not govern under ideal circumstances. You know, I listened to the PNP and I went back to their manifesto and I said to myself, what a lucky thing they didn't win. Because where are the contingencies in the manifestos? Election manifestos are written based on expected conditions. But unexpected crises can fundamentally affect and alter fiscal realities. Who planned for Hurricane Melissa? That means that instantly, billions of dollars had to be redirected from planned development into emergency relief, into infrastructure repairs, housing reconstruction, and social assistance. Inflation is not uniquely Jamaican. Governments do not govern under ideal circumstances. And if the government had already committed tens of billions of dollars to hurricane recovery and rebuilding efforts, then fiscal space becomes constrained. Jamaicans, you have to understand this. The government had to find $70 billion it never budgeted for to pay for Hurricane Melissa recovery. We are going to go through a difficult little period. You have to understand. The government can't just go print money and give you. And so what the taxmen are to do, don't raise their fares? You can't. That's not reasonable to expect. Every additional dollar spent in one area must either be borrowed, taxed, or diverted from another priority. Where does government get money from? It either have to borrow it, or tax you, or it has to divert resources that should go into hospitals, to roads, to other infrastructure. You think government had $70 billion put on there? No. There is a distinction to be made between compassion and responsibility. Compassion demands helping the vulnerable. And let us be fair, Jamaicans. The vulnerable in the country are being helped. Compassion demands that you help the vulnerable. Responsibility demands ensuring that today's assistance does not create a crisis tomorrow. That is the difference between good governance and reckless governance. Because you can be reckless by unsustainable borrowing. You can be reckless by reckless spending. It is a delicate balance, and the government must strike that balance. It must. And so the critics will call for greater spending on the poor, larger subsidies, higher wages, lower taxes, expanded social programs. Do it all simultaneously. Absorb the fare increases. Provide relief for the poor. Run with it. These goals may be admirable. They sound nice. The challenge is that public finances operate according to constraints. Governments cannot indefinitely spend beyond their means without consequences. It would be irresponsible to do so. And therefore, fiscal prudence is not the opposite of compassion. It is the mechanism that allows compassion to be sustained over time. I want to make that point again. To be conservative, to be prudent, not to be profligate. Profligacy is recklessness. It's not the opposite of compassion. It is the mechanism that allows compassion to be sustained over time. The poor you will always have with us. And I don't think we have a more compassionate prime minister than the one currently is in Jamaica House. Supporters of the government would argue that this is where the debate with the opposition becomes more significant. And this is the debate that we need to have. That is the debate we need to have. How do you balance compassion in the absence of profligacy? How do you cater for the poor without being fiscally reckless? Election promises such as living wage, higher tax threshold, expanded benefits, and other forms of economic relief may sound attractive in isolation. The real test is whether those commitments remain affordable after an unforeseen event such as Hurricane Melissa, global inflation, and the type of economic shocks that we are experiencing now. Who knew that there would have been a war in Iran? Did we plan for that? The question is not whether those promises are desirable. The question is whether they can be implemented, simultaneously jeopardizing fiscal stability. And this is where the politics comes in. But we can't run the country on political feelings. We have to run the country on prudence. I'm trying to find something to play for you. Trying to find something to play for you. Give me a second there. Mr. Hughes, on the fare increase.
Has been a problem in Jamaica. Bus fares or public passenger vehicle price setting has been a problem in Jamaica for many, many years. You know why? Because when it comes to bus fare increase, it is politically unpopular. Government after government, bus fares are...
No, why is it politically unpopular? Why is it politically unpopular? Because the opposition make it so. It is the opposition that make it so. The institutionalization of poverty has created a society of a lack of understanding and a welfare state thinking. Many Jamaicans are thinking that the government are them pooper. Government responsible for them. And it is wrong. It is time we tell the people the truth. Governments cannot hold back taxi and bus fare increases. Some of you have to make the adjustment. The eyelash and the wig and the party and the rum and boom, you have to put away some of those lifestyle. You have to make the adjustment to your life. Some of the things that you are doing, you can't afford it. Give it up. Not government responsibility at all. We have grown up people to feel entitled. Subsidies, path programs. And now we are at a point in Jamaica where we cannot afford it anymore. Story come to boom. And when you have an opposition that is exploiting ignorance, we have to tell the people the truth. Politics don't need to get into fare increases. It's a market that we have. A free market. And the taximan buy gas, have to pay for car parts, servicing vehicle, and some of them have loans at the bank. So what is the government to do? Hold out on it because it is unpopular? And then when the taximen block the roads and lock down the place for fare increase, they blame the government for that too? Damn if you do, damn if you don't. That is because of how we have trained our people. We have lied to them. We have lied to our people. And we have to stop telling the people the lies. We have to get the people to understand how the market works. What government exists to do, and that government have limit. There are limits on government. The government can absorb some. It can't absorb all of it. You have to make the adjustment to your life to absorb the little fare increase that you have. You may have to go cut back on the hairdresser that you go every 2 weeks. You can only go now once a month. Cut back on the KFC. One 10-piece wings at $2,000. Take the $2,000 and buy grocery and cook. Buy 2 bungla callaloo, some rice and chicken and some other vegetable thing, and you have meals for 2-3 days. The $2,000 that you spend by 10-piece wing can probably feed you for 4 days, you know. And the simplistic solution is more minimum wage. More minimum wage? Well, I tell you this. Anybody who is telling you that your minimum wage should increase don't like you, you know. They don't like you. Because I can tell you that if the government puts up your minimum wage, you may lose your job. And the very prices that you are paying for now will go up. Because what more money does in the economy is that it creates the very inflation that we are trying to contain. Because when you put more money in the economy and you don't improve productivity in terms of goods and services, then you have too much money chasing too little goods. What do you think is going to happen on the other side where the goods are? It creates the whole matter of demand and supply. They don't understand. But you don't understand either, so you believe them. What you need to do is to take that $17,000. By the way, it's $52,000 more you're getting, you know, per year. Those of you earning minimum wage, it's $52,000 more you're getting per year, you know. It's not a small increase that, you know. And if you think it is small, put on the $1,000 every week. And at the end of the year, you have $52,000. If you put it down for 2 years, for 4 years, it's $208,000 you have. You could have buy one little car.
Public passenger vehicle price setting has been a problem in Jamaica for many, many years. You know why? Because when it comes to bus fare increase, it is politically unpopular. The government after government don't want to grant the increase, despite they know that the increase is justified and timely and needed. They dither and delay because anytime you increase bus fare, yeah, you lose marks politically.
Yeah. You lose marks politically. But what are you to do? Tribalism again is destroying the fabric of our politics. There is no opposition that should come out now against a fare increase. None. It is as justified as your light bill. Oh, you know, complain about the light bill. You can't oppose what is Mr. Phillips coming out to say? What are you saying, Mr. Michael Phillips? What are you saying? Why are you playing politics with people's lives? Why are you playing politics with people's lives? Economic management is not measured by hardship, you know. It is measured by the country's ability to absorb shocks. And let me tell you this with all sincerity. This government has not gotten the credit it deserves. The government of Prime Minister Andrew Holness has not gotten the credit it deserves. For this government to absorb the shock of Melissa and don't burden Jamaicans with taxes is remarkable. Remarkable. Not only has the government absorbed the shock, it has maintained stability, and it has continued rebuilding after the disaster, and it has avoided creating a larger crisis in the future. Whether one agrees with every policy decision or not, that is the standard by which fiscal responsibility is typically judged. That's what the technocrats and the bureaucrats say. On that, Mr. Harry Henriquez, we have to big them up. Ten minutes after 8 o'clock. Moderator, put up my listeners. Let them talk their mind. Put up my listeners. Let them talk their mind. Hello, listeners. Your time to talk your mind. I've told you what is on mind. It's your time. Good evening, everybody. Whether you're listening to us on TikTok, YouTube, or wherever in the world you are, what is on your mind? Let me hear from you, and you have the rest of the program, 1 hour and 50 minutes to talk your mind. Who is first? Moderator? Okay, we don't have anybody yet? No.
Yeah, there's no one on my side either.
Okay, is there anyone on TikTok? Let me know. Okay, no, all right. And all right, so transportation. We have somebody. All right, let's see. Uh, Good night, caller. Good night. All right. Well, if we're going to talk our mind and you don't come up, then we cut the show to 2 hours. I can talk for 2 hours. So you are saying that you need time to talk. It's your time. Go ahead, Charmaine. Go ahead, Charmaine.
Hi, neighbor. It's just my hand catching, you see?
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Hi, Cherry Bipolar. How you doing? Damsel, hi. Who do we have? Harry, how are you, sir?
Good evening, neighbor. Good evening, Caroline. Neighbors.
All right.
Too bad,
A
just
little.
making the rounds, coming back in.
Uh,
Just making the rounds and coming in. Very interesting topic in a neighbor.
yes.
I don't think many persons were prepared for the loaded information being provided, but it is a reality in which we live.
Yes.
And it is something we have to understand as a people, because more now than ever, it's going to require not just fiscal discipline from the government,
Yes.
but also how each person lives his or her life.
Yes. I'm trying to see if I can turn you up a bit. Go ahead. Go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, let me switch out from the headphones to the phone, but give me a quick sec.
All right. Okay. All right. So we're having a little bit of a problem here. Let's.
Are you hearing me now, neighbor?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's work with that. Go ahead.
Okay. So the topic in itself, right, has to be a teaching moment, neighbor, for whether you're a laborite or whether you're a PMP.
Yes.
It's a nationalistic standpoint that you have to understand the economic times that are there, right? And it simply means that it is going to show, just like how Melissa showed failed frameworks, neighbor, these economic times will show who could have afforded what
Yes.
and who is living within their specific needs. Because the truth is, for a very long time, Jamaicans rather have a way of living way above their means, neighbor.
Yes.
Right? And you touch a little on the hair and the nails and so on. But it goes deeper than that, neighbor. Right? And it is time where people will have to now look within themselves, whether that is to cut back or to have a greater understanding as to how they have to now have proper money management. Because Jamaica,
Rather than looking for the government for solutions.
neighbor, there's nothing the government can do to do two things. One, the government can make you rich. And two, it is not the government who will set you on the path for financial freedom. They give you an environment for you to then grow in it, find opportunities in it to propel yourselves. This is one such moment, and it's a bitter pill for each and every Jamaican to swallow. And also, for the last decade that this government has been fiscally responsible, neighbor, and giving back to Jamaicans, what have they done with that money? Because now it's going to show those who have put those opportunities to use and those who were setting up for
for ad hoc times like this. So a taxi fare increase, which is justified, right, should not be something that derails an individual from their financial path. It shouldn't derail or have a negative impact on about increasing minimum wage, because minimum wage is just a suggestion, you know.
Yes.
And this is the thing. There are very few people, when you look at the percentage wise, there's not a lot of people who are earning minimum wage labor.
Correct.
The majority of Jamaicans are well ahead of that. So this minimum wage talk, wage nonsense. It is a political rhetoric being run for political points. It holds no true value. It holds no water neighbor. So anybody who speaks of that needs to go one side and understand the economics, because economics impacts our lives no matter what we do, and it's who can manage it best will understand how to go about it, because there's nothing the government can do. We never plan for Melissa.
Correct.
We never plan to lose 60% of our GDP, and also we never plan for see any issues when it comes down to geopolitical warfare between major countries, right? Those who control logistics and manufacturing goods and services and so on. That's not something we have a control over. But what we have control over, neighbor, is how we as individuals now go about our day-to-day budgeting. Where you have to cut back, you cut back, and have a choice. Where opportunities lie, you also venture into those, because these times will create opportunities for those who are skillful enough, those who are smart enough to find the opportunities within. Them say every cloud have a silver lining, right? And you cannot blame the government for something like this. And that is the hurtful point about it, where people just want to say anything and is not responsible, are not behaving responsibly with what is coming out of their mouth.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, neighbor, the irresponsible conversations will be had through colors, and mainly one color, because it's going to be through the lens of the People's National Party supporters and their surrogates, neighbor, and no one else, because they are trying to understand and let others understand what is happening. Those who are intellectually disingenuous, this is going to be a field day for them to tell lies, to put out misinformation and disinformation, just to act on the emotions of those who are gullible and those who are ignorant to what is happening.
Yes. Are you there, Harry?
So one of the major things, I'm here, neighbor.
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the major things we have to do is to ensure that we advise people well and give them the information, such as what we're doing tonight.
Debo?
Hello?
Hi, we are actually hearing the YouTube playing in the background.
You are hearing the YouTube playing in the background?
Well, yes.
Well, he's on TikTok speaking to YouTube. So let me take down okay. All right. Go ahead now, Harry. Tell me if you're hearing it still.
I'm not sure if I'm hearing any echoing now, neighbor.
Okay, are you
Caroline hearing any?
Are you hearing YouTube still?
Yes, I am, but it's not as loud as it was before.
Okay.
So I'm hearing it, yes.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Harry.
So one of the major things people have to understand, neighbor, you see this whole thing about minimum wage needs to increase. And I'm happy you touch on a little part of it regarding the loss of jobs.
Yes.
What people fail to understand is that there's a small section based on the earning capacity of individuals in a country. There's the hierarchical structure have the higher end persons who are the ones who actually create certain opportunities because they have more disposable income, they look for more opportunities, and they also take more risk. Now, when you increase, you run ahead and prematurely run an increase minimum wage in an economy that is not the best with production and productivity, because you have to be producing a lot more to increase that. And if you have a problem with production, right, then you cannot go ahead and just increase minimum wage like that, because what's going to happen now is that the business owners are not going to be able to pay that wage. And you know the first thing they're going to do? Because they're going to do two things. They will either reduce their staffing, which means it's going to increase our unemployment rate, or they're going to go ahead and find technologies that will be able to replace
Labor.
one or two staff members. Right? So people need to understand that you have to be responsible and you have to tackle the meat of the matter first, which is production. And that is something that has crippled Jamaica, coming out of the 90s. That was the key part. Because I would have mentioned all of that in terms of from 95 to 2000, neighbor, where a lot of money was passing through Jamaica.
Yes.
But it was just going for paper assets. It didn't come into the economy to move around and to create anything. It went straight to an instrument and straight back out to investors elsewhere, right? No real stimulation of any growth whatsoever. And that crippled Jamaica itself. Now we're facing with an issue now where we're fighting to increase production, but we just got hit by Melissa. And if we're patient enough, we're going to see production levels increasing because of the framework that is being put forward and what it will create in terms of job opportunities once the necessary persons have the skill sets to do so. And I can tell you, neighbor, 2027 this time, nobody's going to remember anything about an increased tax fare, because everybody will be finding themselves in an active earning capacity throughout the island, different projects coming on board, requiring different skill sets, requiring more hands. In fact, the job creation that will be coming, neighbor, within the next 3 years, Jamaica itself cannot fill those positions. Even if you and I, neighbor, have 2 jobs, we cannot fill that capacity that's coming. And people need to understand that and look at the bigger picture and stop complaining about pennies. Right? We can't be penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah. So what
just takes people to be disciplined.
Yeah, what you are saying, Harry, is that the real discussion we need to have is about how do we make the adjustment to our lives individually and as a country. It's a conversation that we need to have to buttress the economic shock that the country has gone through and the unforeseen situations like Melissa and the war that is outside of our control. Oh, no, not hearing Harry. Not hearing Harry at all. I'm not hearing Harry. Okay. Good night, Scratchy. Before Harry comes in.
Blessed thy neighbor Caroline.
How are you doing, man?
I'm here, neighbor. What's up?
Why, we touching a little bit on the whole matter of the politics of fare increases again, Scratchy. Taxi men bus operators got a fare increase today. The opposition is criticizing it. I hear them saying that there's an echo. I'm not so sure where the echo is coming from. Okay, I'm not so sure where the echo is coming from. Okay, because I don't know. You have a playback going on the background. Uh, Playback. Okay, we are hearing a playback. Let's try and see if we can fix the playback. Okay, go ahead, Scratchy. Let me try and see if I can fix this.
Yes, neighbor. Hear me now?
I'm hearing you clearly, but they are
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah, there's a playback. There's a playback. There's a playback.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Give me a minute. There. I think probably I know where that is. Let's take that off. Okay. All right. Go ahead now, Scratchy.
Yes, neighbor. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yes, most better. So yeah, but you know the People's National Party neighbor, they have used neighbor the increase in transportation fares neighbor over the past years in Jamaica as a political tool where when they were in government neighbor they deprive public transportation neighbor of fare increases to please neighbor their political will or their political advantage at the time while they were in government neighbor. So based on how Jamaicans have gotten so used to that in the 90s neighbor over four consecutive election cycles, Jamaicans have now never become so it is so bad to a lot of Jamaicans whenever there is a fear increase because they are used to political organizations not taking that unpopular political decision neighbor and giving transportation sector duly fear increase that is needed.
Yes.
So it's just a result of the PNP neighbor their style that they have used over the years. This is something neighbor that they doesn't want to be normalized. They don't want Jamaicans to know normalize and get an understanding and knowing that okay, it is fair and it is definitely okay to have taxi or the transportation sector get a fair increase over a period of time. Neighbor, we even right now, neighbor, we even increase in oil prices right now. It will be definitely not good at the government, neighbor, the government. I'll try to please, I'll try to gain any political mileage by not giving the tax and the transportation sector this increase, neighbor. It's due overdue, neighbor. And they deserve it 100%. And Jamaican needs to have understanding, neighbor. I know that minimum wage has increased neighbor over the period of time. And that the persons I would suspect neighbor who's now taking taxes, neighbor, yes. I know that there's definitely some routes across Jamaica, neighbor, where it is definitely owned 100% taxi. But we also have a public transportation system, neighbor. Government have a subsidized bus system in place, neighbor. So persons who wish not to take part in fear increase can use the government system. The JUTC buses, the JUTC now have more routes. I'll find ways means, and this will also neighbor push. This will also push neighbor the rural or the school bus system, neighbor. I would expect neighbor that they will now be a take up of more students taking advantage now of the rural school bus system, neighbor, compared to where it was previously. You know, because of the increase in fares, neighbor, based on all those fares are already at a very high level already, neighbor, I would definitely expect now to see a more higher uptake, neighbor, of the school bus system. So it's definitely overdue, neighbor. I have no issue with it, neighbor. And I believe, neighbor, that every single one who partake or who take public transportation in Jamaica, neighbor, whether you are working or whether you're taking part-time, neighbor, whatever increase there is, neighbor, it will be an increase over neighbor where persons can afford it, neighbor. It's not an increase that would break your bank or put anyone out of a job or put anyone life worse off anyone life, neighbor. Where we know it is, if it might be an increase of say $100, neighbor, that means it's less.
Okay. No, I can't take any calls on the line. Okay, so guys, don't ring the 876-858-9553 number. Okay, we're not gonna be able to take any calls on that tonight. Go ahead, Scratchy.
So yeah, but I'm saying if it's an increase of $100, it's 100. It's one soft drink or one soda less per week, neighbor. So you know, just try to. It's all about balancing, neighbor. And I think it is full time no more than ever, neighbor. Where Jamaicans who earn a salary, neighbor, And that is the earlier story. All Jamaican people must come to a realization down here, but that we have to budget our life neighbor now.
Yes, isn't that the discussion that we need to really get and we have shied away from this type of discussion, Scratchy. But we have to guys, stop calling the number that please do not call the 876-858-9553 number. We cannot take any calls on that tonight. All right, don't call it. All right, Scratchy, this discussion that we need to have, we have given people the impression that somehow government can take care of all their problems, and it has led to a society that people are irresponsible.
That is what it has led to neighbor, because purchase are the belief neighbor that government can do this and government can do that and government must do this and government must do that neighbor. And that is as a result neighbor the mindset that was planted in us neighbor, where it was easy for persons neighbor to get anything they want from a certain political organization or neighbor. No real leadership coming from that party neighbor, not realizing that leadership is not about popularity. Leadership neighbor is about making decisions in the best interest of the nation at all point in time. Where the political organization neighbor wouldn't see that as a key interest. They make political decisions and make decisions neighbor that was in the best interest of how it make them look politically stand, make how they look politically and helping their political standing. And that is what Jamaicans are suffering from neighbor. We are suffering from neighbor, from a constant neighbor feeling of lawlessness, and it has happened so over such a long period of time that it is now become a norm. That when time reality kicks in neighbor, time for the real action to be taken, we see the truth and we see right as wrong and wrong as right, because we are not used to seeing any type of poor leadership like this, unpopular political decisions like this being made neighbor. As I said before, it's a long overdue increase neighbor, and each and every one who travels public transportation neighbor can definitely afford whatever increase in income. It won't set back anybody's life in a great way. It won't stop anybody from eating their favorite lunch. It won't stop anybody from having their favorite drink. It won't stop neighbor. It will increase neighbor that I don't think is going to be a certain level that will cause anyone. There will increase of 52,000 versus who are minimum wage. The government gave you an increase of 1,000 per week. That's 52,000 per year neighbor. And I can guarantee you that whatever increase bus fare, transportation fuel neighbor, it won't be nothing more than 52,000 neighbor for the year. So it's all about budgeting neighbor versus in Jamaica neighbor. Jamaicans in particular to understand neighbor that we have to choose our priorities neighbor. We get our priorities in order. We have to budget neighbor. I think the constant freeness that Jamaicans live under neighbor, not paying any light bill, not paying any rent, not paying anything at all neighbor. It has created a psychological effect on us neighbor. It has a psychological problem on us neighbor, where it is just so difficult and so hard for us to come to the formality and come to the understanding that bills are what runs a nation, taxes are what runs a nation, neighbor. So Jamaican neighbor, we have some serious public education.
Absolutely correct, yes.
Because neighbor, to how we prioritize our life, in regards to how we spend. Because I can tell this neighbor, there's a work of cash in Jamaica neighbor.
Before you tell me that, Scratchy, tell me how is life in Canada there in terms of the cost of living. Do you have a minimum wage there in Canada?
Yes, neighbor, there's a minimum wage in Canada neighbor. The federal minimum wage about 17 cents and $17.50 per hour. Or about $18 in some provinces neighbor. But the key thing here neighbor is that, and this goes for me neighbor, I was living in Canada neighbor. Canada has taught me neighbor a sense of responsibility neighbor, that to be honest neighbor, I'm posing this responsibility in Jamaica neighbor when it comes to especially my funding and bills and stuff like that neighbor. I live in a country neighbor where you have to make sure neighbor that the bills are paid monthly neighbor. I don't personally know my landlord, so the landlord come and can't tell the landlord say, oh, next week or tomorrow you can't think man, I'm this you know. These are corporations that own these housing developments neighbor. So once a slip up one time it's out. So we have to put it neighbor, we have to put the transportation cost, so they buy gas and when they travel to public transportation.
Hold on, no man. Hold on, Bustin. Go ahead, Scratchy, finish.
Oh, sorry, neighbor.
Yeah. All right. Hold on there, Bustin. Rhoda, Good night. Rhoda? Okay. Can you ask Rhoda to open her microphone and let me talk to her? Good night, Rhoda. Hello. All right, hold on there, Rhoda. Go ahead, Bustin.
Yes, neighbor. I will say something, neighbor. Well, concerning what the gentleman was saying, neighbor. We live in the diaspora of Jamaica, neighbor. Born and grown in Jamaica, neighbor. Our ancestors fight for us to, neighbor, and to be a free national sovereign people, neighbor. We write the rules and laws and regulations.
Speak up a little for me, sir. I'm not hearing you so well.
I'm saying, neighbor. Can you hear me now, clear, neighbor?
I can hear you, but you're very low. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's maybe because it's show. But what I'm saying, neighbor, I born and grown in Jamaica, neighbor, where my ancestors them fought for us, neighbor, and give us the will of national freedom, neighbor. And when this gentleman coming on national public TV and telling Jamaican people that we must obey and pay bills, and because that's how the government run. We are a free national people, neighbor, and from we born and grown, neighbor, there was an invasion in Jamaica when Christopher Columbus come to Jamaica.
You are saying a lot of things there, sir. What do you mean that the man is saying that government is telling people to pay bills? What do you mean by that?
No, he's saying, right? Like when you're saying I'm saying a lot of things, he's just saying a lot of things. No, I'm saying my lot of things. Which where I'm come from, Jamaica, born and grown in Jamaica, which my ancestor was a free entity of people, and Babylon come and invade us and tell us that they discover us and comply rules and law and regulation unto us and tell us to pay taxes and try to take away our land, our freedom occupied space, which our ancestors said 40-acre land is to each loved one, self-sufficient yourself. And if we are independent, how come government take up much $1,000 billion and give JPS and we still out alone now? And I prepare to start and I'm afraid if we are going to live. And the president and prime minister come tell we say, the only thing we have is to say we want to live.
Oh my goodness. No. All right, I tell you something. I tell you something. You are, I don't, no, this is the neighbor, this is the Hello Neighbor show, you know, sir. Hello, sir. This is the hold on, this is the Hello Neighbor show. Please, sir, calm down yourself, sir. Calm down yourself.
I'm sorry, sir.
Calm down. You all right?
No.
All right, hold on, man. You are saying a lot of things there that don't make a lot of sense. You hear? But I want to give you a little bit.
What don't make us sense?
No, hold on to me, sir. Hold on, listen. First of all, you're just a lot of word salad. You're saying a lot of things there, but you need to have your thoughts are not well put together, and you need to have a conversation. Let us take them one at a time. Now, sir, governments do not exist to pay people's bills. You understand that? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Neighbor.
Government do not exist to pay people's bill.
Okay, let me objection on that speech that you made.
No, but I not done. Hold on.
No. I'm gonna clarify my clearance first, then you can continue, right?
Where you come? No, where you come from, sir? You know, me not have the patience. Me not have the patience. I don't have the patience for this. I tell you the truth. I'm not feeling well tonight. I don't have the patience for this, you know. There are serious issues to be discussed in this country. I cannot spend my time here taking this on. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes, sir. You're going to listen to me? You're going to listen to me, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mari.
Mr. What? Listen to me. Listen to me. Government and people enter in what is called a social contract, where we sublet our freedom to the government for a service. Part of that security service is security. The government provides security. Part of that social contract is that the government is to provide services, provide hospitals and schools and roads and a transportation system that we can all enjoy. As part of that, we pay taxes to the state for those services. Those taxes are to be reasonable, equitable, and just in a free and fair democratic society. The government creates the enabling environment in which we go and pursue our happiness and our dreams. For example, if I can afford to buy a Honda, hold on, sir, just hold on, man. If I can afford to buy a Honda Civics or a Prado or a Benz, government can't stop me. If I have the means to do it, I go ahead and do it. If I can afford a house up at Jackson or Mona's, I go there and buy it and build it. What the government is to do is to ensure that the environment exists so that I can pursue my happiness. No matter come here with no Babylon rubbish, sir. We do have a hold on. No, wait, my brother, wait, because them we don't do that on this program, sir. We don't do that on this program. Yes, sir. So under the social contract, sir, we give government certain things. Government give us certain things. That's how it operates. What we are to criticize is the way the government goes about it.
Can I talk now?
Yes, sir.
What is the right of a national person?
What is the right of a national person?
Yeah.
Okay, I tell you what. I don't understand that question. I wonder if Harry could help me. Harry, you know the rights of a national person? No, he doesn't. Scratchy, do you? What is the rights of a national person?
Well, the question is not one that makes sense, but I'll make sense out of it.
Okay.
There are different rights in which a citizen has, right, in a country. Freedom for movement, freedom for commerce, neighbor, right? A freedom for proper living, right? And many others. But I don't understand what Boston is asking in its entirety. Boston is
No, read it out. Read out where I read. Not many others. Those
I'm not reading. I'm reading from my understanding.
Okay, then you have a knowledge of what I'm coming from, right? No. We all understand what is government is, right? Government signifies private sector. We Jamaican.
No, we're not doing that. Government does not signal no private sector.
What
Private
does it
sector is
signify?
independent of the government, sir. Government is public assets and capacities. They act in the rights of the people itself, how to govern for the people. Private sector for themselves. Government, no. Government does not operate like a business. Government is not there for profits. Private sector entities, however, does that. They are not one in the same. They are two totally different things, my son. Alright?
Okay. Alright, fine. Clear. No. Mr. Neighbor is our government in Jamaica. He's
Misa, no, sir, I am not the government. No, sir.
No, that's an example. I'm sure it makes sense.
Moderator, are we making money off this? I will not make no money off of this. No make no sense, you know. Boston, you have money. You have to go send some money to the program, you know, because you don't understand. Heart me. Heart me. No, sir. You have to go pay for this. This is something too nice. By the way, all right. I don't know what's happening. Go ahead, Boston.
All right. So you as the Prime Minister, right? And this is Jamaica, the whole platform is Jamaica. You rule us. Now, I am the national of the land. Me, you come here from city. You have no business with me. I make an agreement with you. Mr. Neighbor, this is what I offer. I allow you to do business in this era. This era, and me control them. And for my youth and my people, them, this is the free will. Anything that come off of this land, any mining, any bauxite, anything that have to do with the water, the road, anything to do with any building, anything, me responsible for it. Me know about it. Me have to tell you, say, yes, do it. Me approve of it. Now, all of a time now, you get so famous, you get so big, but me end up passed away on a day, and me pick them or me pick the generation, and me know it true. You come and you tell them, say, hey, I may control this land, man. Me I run it. And you have to pay this, I have to pay that, I have to live, I have to do that. But me I run it go. You know, I'm in your man in here, but. Yeah. So, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Is it my life is to just get up and work when government analyze me and I tell me, say, it might make my life better. Take out my land from me when I should have my own occupied space. Tell me some can't talk. Tell me I have no freedom of speech. Comply to people. When the earth is full there off. Where is our where?
All right, Mr. Bustrin. Go ahead, Harry. Let's move on.
Well, the fact that I'm struggling to follow you, I can only share a level of compassion, right, with the listeners who are also struggling to get a coherent understanding as to where you're going with your line of argument. Now, understand this. Let me put some clarity to it. The government is an elected body. We have had an election on September 3rd. The government is not independent of the people. It is not, and what I mean by not independent of the people, these are Jamaican nationals who have been elected to form government.
Like who?
There are 63 member parliamentarians there, Street, right? No, they get to form the houses of government.
Yeah.
That's a lower house. They're the legislators.
So who is in the higher house? Who is in the higher house?
In the upper house, there are senators.
Who is there?
13 from the government, 8 from the opposition, and I believe maybe I think it's 2 or 3 from the Governor General. No. Government itself have 3 major bodies, right?
Yeah.
They handle the business of the country.
Right.
When people go and vote, the ruling party that forms the government, right?
Yeah,
They act on behalf, because that is the responsibility
of the government. You got to take care. You got to take care in a place. Listen up. A government duty.
I'll let you speak. Now let me get clarity. Austrian.
I don't want you to speak. Facts.
To understand, not to respond. I beg you, my brethren. Right? No, the government is there acting on behalf of the citizens in the best interest of the citizens, both locally, regionally, and internationally.
Listen up, but we just do it slowly, come and done. No, you said the government is acting in the position of citizen.
No, the government is acting on behalf and in the interest of its citizens.
Alright, so the citizen now, that means the citizen would
nationals. For you, Bustrin, the nationals.
It can be everyone be a national. It's only some people.
Bustrin, Question.
But we are talking with facts. Yeah, we are. Alright, everybody will come to Jamaica, Jamaican, or the government responds to them if they live on the island, right?
But even then, that is acting.
So then, you call a visitor that come from England and in a Jamaica, and something wrong with him, in a Jamaican?
Question.
No, before you...
Question. Yeah. The government ensures that foreign nationals are safe and secure in our country is also acting on the behalf of our very own citizens, because if anything happens, then that is a problem for Jamaica itself instead of impacts the citizens.
Right. But, alright. Now, what duty does the national have towards the government?
Nationals can hold their government accountable. There are many different ways, many different institutions that allows you to do so. But the ultimate one that we've seen is via an election. You can vote in or vote out of a government. You choose.
So that means what you are saying to me now, the nationals and the government become one.
I'm wondering where your line of argument going in about string.
No, because if I'm the national, right, and you are the government.
Put it this way, put it this way. No member of parliament who sits in parliament can be a citizen of another country. So yes, they are nationals.
Okay, alright. So they say that they would represent the people of Jamaica, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this they would go represent the people of the national of Jamaica, which will under the rule of also the treaty bill, right?
Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question, so can you clear?
Question. We are still a sovereign state, you know. It's just that we practice a specific
Okay. Harry and Boston, they
trying to
yeah.
I don't want to be independent of, but to matriculate into total self-governance in its entirety.
Yeah. He's gone. Wow. Hold on there, Harry. Patrick, good night to you. Talk Your Mind is on. Patrick, are you there? Oh boy, I tell you something. That was something else. Good night, caller. Hello. Good evening to you. Speak up for me.
No, we just there and listen to Aboriginal and say, why, you guys really appreciate. I love that about you guys, you know. You really sit down and listen to nonsense for so long.
We sit and listen nonsense for a long time, sir.
I don't know you guys go into this reasoning that says nothing, and when you try to show the point of reasoning, it's like going his own way, it's like, what happened to Jamaica people? What are really they bring us something too politicized, you know? Too much politics in them. Too much dialogue, you know? So now you watch about it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, how you people is taking a thing and, you know, it's like a schoolroom and a classroom.
The program is like a classroom.
Yeah, man, it's like a classroom, you know, you're in a fire. When fire for fun, you put fire, when you don't know what you're doing, you know? I don't know if I bring a school and just sit down and take in my own country people.
Yes.
That's the truth. We need back someone being really implement German, because someone is government German.
Yes.
So needs to go back to German, and I really now say, because my son of PNP, I come from PNP, one of my friends of PNP, you know, I say, like, I'm a friend of right, but come like I'm here,
Yes, sir. And I tell you the truth, there's a very high level of civic illiteracy in the country. And I will tell you this, sir. Some of the things that we need to talk about are unpopular, and they may even make the government unpopular. But I think the government needs to do it, especially so early in the term. Yeah. Matters, for example, sir, like minimum wage. The minimum wage debate, sir, is biased. People don't understand it. They don't understand it, sir. I always say to my listeners, that government print money, sir. Government can print money. Why don't the government just print some money and just give we all $5 million? We just all go have fun. just print money and give us $5 million each. Make we just go buy up some things and have fun. And see how the country mash up. See how the country mash up, sir. Fascinating stuff, Huh?
And then you see all the independent clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. Your first time here? Well, thank you, sir. I hope that you'll come again. They don't take you up?
Yeah, but the first time they take me up now, so
When you send the request, they don't take you up?
No, it's like when we hear about certain topic, I'm gonna check in and say, yo, I love when you're going with my channel. I don't really stay long, because it's like we can't take long, because certain point of reasoning more getting it, Yeah, I love what I want, someone getting the point of reason, and then it can change down the line, and then I'm like, okay, the reason is done.
Let me ask you a question. Do you prefer the presentation we make, which is called the monologue, the neighbor's notes, or you prefer to hear the callers?
The neighbors know, but listen, the neighbors know different. The neighbor, I'm telling you the truth. Listen to me, have you like a man with that distinction there, right? So you articulate. Give me the word.
Articulate.
Articulate. That's the word. More time, we stop that something.
That's a problem. That's all right.
When you articulate yourself, everyone wants to sit around for a minute and hear your point of reason. They want to just sit in and listen. So anywhere there, people are gonna follow.
Oh.
A man like me gonna follow. If you go politics, me follow. If you go anything you go, me gonna do that. I mean that. We have listen to the money and you know what I want.
So I'm asking you, would you prefer to have the neighbors' notes, or you prefer the callers?
Sometimes the callers them is like the caller them put my brain on some spot more time. I call a guy I just know.
Yes.
More time we rather stay with the notes. You see what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
The moderator is listening to you.
We'll come to pass through when the callers them today, but sometimes them people them not that.
My goodness, one of my callers is saying that Oshia Hardis and neighbors' notes are up there with Rachel Maddow. You compare me to Rachel Maddow, ma'am? Oh God, that makes me feel good. Rachel Maddow is top notch. Wow. I didn't realize that. Yeah? Wow, that's fantastic, lady. Oh, thank you for that. Yes, but thank you, sir.
Right through from politics and forward when the president tell you how much money, how much seat Liberty get, how much seat PMP get, and
yes. And like, so you don't want us to cut out the neighbors' notes, sir?
No, I don't want you to do.
Oh, you have to go get a sponsor for it. You have to go get a sponsor for it, sir. Yeah. Okay. Well,
we can sponsor one thing and just
yes, of course. Well, sir, I do spend a lot of time to prepare these notes for you, and I won't tell you the secret, but we wait for everybody to cover the subject, then we cover it. Yeah. They said that they don't like me to drink orange juice. They said they don't like me to drink orange juice, but I have to take a juice here. It's hot here. Yeah. You know, this is one I know, sir. When me I drink, you know, it will give me a little, you know that thing there? Eh? Eh? A horse tonic. Horse tonic? Oh, God. All right. All right, sir. Thank you so much. Big up yourself. Yeah. All right. This man. Good evening to you, sir. The man. Morning. Where you call from? You are in Clarendon, sir?
Yes, Clarendon, Chapter.
How are things in Clarendon?
Well, good, you know. Not so bad, I know.
Do you listen to neighbors' notes?
All the time, man. I never come over this, man. Never.
What are you saying to me? Is your first time calling?
I think the second time was a long time.
Uh-huh. Do you prefer the notes or you prefer the callers?
We love his show, man, and the man will come on a while ago, we tell him, say, you know, we know hold no land, you just hold that.
That is quite true.
You don't know where that man come from.
That is quite true, sir.
Yeah, man. But we know Mr. Morgan constituency.
Oh, how are things up there?
Things are going, you know, but me ask him to do something, but we can't see him in the council, and we can't see them man there. You have to talk to them, they're not here.
They don't hear you?
They don't hear, man, because vote for them, go turn up in a line, son a bunny up, share with me and my wife and my daughter, go turn up in a line, vote, and we go to them boat, a police side of my house, we wash away. And nobody will come to my rescue.
You went to Mr. Morgan, sir?
Yeah, we went to Mr. Morgan and the councillor, Mr. Mitchell.
And you went to him personally?
Yes, went to him personally.
And he hasn't responded?
He said I must write a letter, and I write the letter and give one to him and give one to Mr. Mitchell.
How long ago?
And nothing. About 6 months from last year, about 6 months now.
Before the hurricane?
Hello?
Before the hurricane?
Yeah, before the hurricane. Long before the hurricane. I tell him about it and he come and look at it and nothing done.
Uh-huh. Well,
yeah.
Have you followed up? Have you followed up with him?
Then come here and say for write back another letter. So I say I'm not going to write another letter because I give them a letter already and they say going to take it to parish council.
Yeah. Did you hear the Prime Minister speaking about technocracy and bureaucracy, sir?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. And I want you to understand, my brother, that may be the problem, you know, with that piece of gully that you have there to be fixed. It may not be the politician. The politician may be very well wanting to fix it, but the bureaucracy, sir, is what is probably holding up the process. But why don't you write the letter again, as he has instructed you to do?
Okay.
Yeah, man, write it again, man. And Mr. Morgan is a busy man, you know, sir, but he's a decent man. He probably he's on to it. Yeah. Give him a little bit more time, though.
I spoke to him and I know he's a busy man and he's a good man too, you know, but I don't know if the council them around him not doing enough.
Oh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So he has days when he comes to office up there, Morgan?
Yes, he has days he come to office, mostly on Thursday sometimes.
Uh-huh. So why not go there this Thursday when he's there? Does he have a secretary?
Yes, he has a secretary.
Yeah, man, then go down to the office tomorrow, man, and give the secretary another letter and tell him to make sure that when Morgan come there Thursday, you give it to him.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sometimes I don't have the time because I work with the hospital, I drive the ambulance. So,
oh, you're an ambulance driver?
Yes, I'm an ambulance driver.
Oh, that's good, man. For the Mapen Hospital?
No, for the Chapter Hospital.
Oh, you carry patients to Mapen?
To Mapen, yeah.
Uh-huh. So when you turn on that the siren, then you gone through traffic.
Yes, man. Sometimes the tax man hold up the road like you're running robot right then. So I turn on the siren and take the time.
Yes, that's a nice job for you, eh?
Yes, man. I work in there about 23 years now.
What you say to me? You're an ambulance driver. That is good. That's a good work. That man. That's great, man. I commend you for that. You have saved a lot of lives, no?
Yes, man.
How long it take you from Chapeltown to get down at Maypen?
Well, driving out that I take about half hour, or can take less than that.
Driving the ambulance, huh?
Driving the ambulance.
Well. So you going to go back down to the office, or said you don't have the children, man?
Yes, man. I have a daughter. She's 21 years old, and she's in the house right now. She don't have a job right now, but you're trying.
Oh! What she did? She went. What she trained to do?
Accounts.
Accounts?
Yeah.
Let me talk to her now.
Okay.
Let me talk to her. What is lovely?
Hello, good night.
Wonderful. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Great. Daddy put you on the phone. You're a nice young lady. Great. Fantastic. You are looking at a job.
Yes.
Okay. Your daddy said that you're an accountant.
Yeah. I have a associate degree in business administration, but I'm going to do my bachelor's for accounting.
Well, congratulations. That is fantastic. Where did you get the associate?
University of the Commonwealth Caribbean.
I tell you something. What I'm going. My moderator actually need an accountant in Mandeville. Would you be able to get in touch with us and give us your number, and we get in touch with you tomorrow?
Sure, but in Mandeville?
Yes, you're in Chapelton?
Yes.
Why you saying Mandeville? Chapelton not just up the road, up the hill?
Okay.
A hop, skip, and a jump. You get to Maypen and you jump on something to Mandeville. It's a very good job, and maybe you drive?
Yes, I drive.
You own your own car?
My father has a car.
No, man, but this job come with benefits, man. You can get a car, so you have your license, eh?
Yes.
That's no problem at all. So you can get a job with we get a job for you in Mandeville. So guess what we have now? You're going to take down this number. Take it down. Okay. Moderator, you want to give her your number, or should I give her the local number here? Go ahead, talk to her, moderator.
My number, neighbor.
Huh?
I'll go ahead and give her my number.
All right. Okay. 954 635 8732. Okay, repeat what you have there for me.
Okay, so 954 635 8732.
Fantastic. So you text that number, and you'll get a response, and we'll line you up and make sure that you get something to do. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. So you listen to this program too?
Sometimes. Always listen when my father is listening.
Oh, daddy turn up the phone and make you listen.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a wonderful 21-year-old, and I'm proud of you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're gonna get married soon?
No, not yet.
Why make?
I'm not ready for that yet.
Oh, well, I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, you keep focused, keep your head up, and do what you need to do. You hear, my dear? Don't divert from the path of success. You'll make it. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Nice talking to you.
Yes, Mr. Neighbor.
Yes, sir. All right. So we're gonna work something out for your daughter. Just make she call the number. You hear? Yeah, man. And go back down to the man office and leave the letter down there. Make him or as a matter of fact, I'm going to if you give me the number for the secretary at the office, I will call her and tell her, say, make sure, say, when him come there Thursday, him sort out you go leave. You hear me?
Okay, I don't have it right now, so I will get it and make you get it.
Yes, I will tell him that you spoke to
Your show every night.
you spoke to a hello neighbor and you know want me call him out on it. All right, sir?
Okay, neighbor, thank you.
Yeah, man. Take care of yourself.
Yes, man. I like your show, man. I never stop watching it. I never have no internet. I'm torment, man.
You're married, sir?
Yes, man. I'm married, man.
Okay, your wife listen to it too?
Yeah, my wife listen to it as well.
Okay, what a nice daughter you have there. Nice lady. Nice young lady. Take care of her.
Yes, man.
Yes.
Yes, man. I'm taking care of her.
Very
And
good.
She don't go anywhere, you know.
What?
Just in the house here. She's not going nowhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's not going nowhere.
What a lovely girl.
Yeah.
Lovely girl. Lovely girl.
Something on the road. She needs something on the road.
Uh-huh.
We have to go buy it here.
All right. Look at that. Uh-huh. Noise. I hope things work out for her, you see, sir?
Okay, neighbor. Thank you.
Bless your heart. Say hi to your wife for me.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hi, wifey.
Hi.
She's there? She's there with you, your wife? Oh, no, she gone. Oh, my God. Moderator, I was just about to say hi to the man's wife and he disconnect me. Oh, put him back. He's a nice man. Oh, lovely. Good night, Rodolphe. Hello. Hello, Rodolphe. No, I don't have Rodolphe. All right. Lee. Lee. Hello. She's singing. She's not listening to us. The other caller. Good night to you, sir. Hello. No. All right. Talk your mind until 10 o'clock. Let's jump over to YouTube and we find Joshua over there. Good night to you, Joshua. Hello.
Greetings to the honorable gentleman, sir.
All right. How are you, man?
I'm tired, but I'm alive, and that's a good start. The scripture says, to him that is joined to the living, there is hope. So I have hope.
Absolutely correct. Joshua, what are your comments on what we are doing here tonight? Or you have other matters on your mind? This whole matter of tax fare increase becoming political again. Unfortunate, eh?
And well, I do have other things, but I also want to comment on what you have been saying. Good night to the moderators. Good night to all listeners,
Yes.
present and future. It has never ceased to be political. I notice a trend that whenever elections are near, that's the time the whole matter of tax fares and tax increases comes up.
Uh-huh.
In addition to that, and it's not just general elections; it's also
By
parish
the
council
way,
elections.
Joshua, I have a listener over here by the name of WePow26 saying that that he's in love with your voice.
He,
He.
um,
I got the hope. Oh.
let me take it gracefully and say thank you, sir. The Lord gives us what He wants us to use.
Uh-huh.
You know?
I'm sorry, George. They're saying that it's not a he, it's a she. It's a no, she's a lady. She's a lady.
Well, I'm elated.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Weepow. I appreciate it. Now, one of the things that, as I was saying, that whenever we get closer to either elections or it is due, whether it be general. whether it be general election or municipal elections, the whole matter of tax fare and increase in the tax fare tends to be very rife in the air. And this is not by accident. A couple of the persons who have political agenda, even bloggers on this space, are PNP. In fact, I remember leading up to the 2020 elections. No, not the 2020, leading up to the 2024 parish council election. There was a gentleman who is a known supporter of the PNP
Uh-huh.
and had gone out to organize a strike, right? Unfortunately, some of his papers were outstanding. He got arrested and then ended up have to apologize, but they were merciful to him.
Uh-huh.
So, and it's not just a matter of the tax affair, you know. It is a strategy that the PNP has used to activate their cells. You know, whenever they feel that they need something to distract from the momentum of the government and to cast a bad light on the Jamaica Labour Party government,
Uh-huh.
they activate the persons who they have. You know, most of these organizations that we look at, some of them branding themselves as civil society groups.
Yes.
According to Aluna and Dumbia Samba, they are not really a civil society group. It's because PNP have an agenda, and that
Yes.
agenda is really to win at all costs. And part of the winning at all costs is really not to come with policies that benefits the country, but rather to use their old playbook, which is to um, weaponize
Yeah.
negativity.
Yeah, but to be fair, Joshua, and I think you are correct that it has always been a political issue. But let us take it from where we are now. How do we move the discussion into the consciousness of Jamaicans for them to understand that this is really not a matter that should even be debated politically? And the opposition commenting on it today in a political way is quite disappointing, is it not?
Um, it is, but one of the challenges that we are suffering from as a nation, and it's a term that I'm going to coin now, is what I call cognitive deformity.
Cognitive deformity.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
We're not wholesome in our thinking, and our thoughts are not altogether where they should be. In other words, we look at a situation and we're not able to analyze all parts of it and
Yes.
make a sound judgment of it because the nation is really not a thinking nation, as it were. Yes, we do a lot of thinking, but our thinking largely is lopsided. You know, and that is why I said cognitive deformity because if you can only view, you ever notice someone who has a strain on one leg or a leg that is not well formed, you know,
Yes.
they're gonna favor the good leg more, right? And one other thing I find out with us as a nation is that a lot of us, you know, we can only see the now, but the big picture is lost, you
Uh-huh.
know, and not just the now, but we can only see what sounds like it's good. Even if it's not good, it sounds like it's good. But when upon closer scrutiny, we recognize that it's not the best option to take. And that is why the opposition at all times is able to tap into these things because what they do, they create emotive arguments, and the people who are a part of their cells, who are leaders of these groups or adjutants within these groups, whenever they need a voice now to agitate that particular group or something to distract from their own shortcomings, then what they do, they agitate these people, and then their people do what they need to do within. Um, One of the things that I've observed also too, sir, and I'd want you to bear with me. I heard you earlier mentioning that some persons don't understand. Now ask you to look for something and read it. It's not very long. It's very short. Socratic, uh, wow, irony. Socratic irony.
Uh-huh. You
If
want me
you
to
look
look
for,
for Socratic irony?
yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
And I'm showing you a simple strategy that the PNP has utilized to
Uh-huh.
dis to 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 distract from the real issue at all times. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of the time when you hear them come here and feigning ignorance,
Uh-huh.
it
So
is it
Socratic
is
irony is where you pretend to know less to get people to think harder.
right. That is the positive version, but there is another version to it.
Uh-huh.
So what they do, they feign ignorance, elicit a response from you or an answer from you, and then systematically seek to tear it apart.
Yes.
Right. That is what the PNP strategizing. So a lot of the time when
So
you're talking to a comrade,
you claim ignorance.
right,
Yeah. So you act clueless in many situations.
right, like even when you hear them pretending as if they did not know that there are certain laws and the different bodies that exist to safeguard um from abuses, and trying to attach it to Nara, and trying to get to raise an alarm to say, boy, there's not enough safeguards to protect
Uh-huh.
against against the ministerial abuse or the
It
ministerial abuse of his power. It's
Socratic
really
Socratic hold on. Socratic
right.
irony.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a great philosophical psychoanalytical term there, Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great.
And so do not be fooled by the PNP. A lot of times when you hear that come up and they say, boy, so why this doesn't happen and why doesn't that happen? They know that it's there, right? And then when you produce the answer now to say, but it is here, then they pivot to something else. And it's in a bid to raise an alarm, a non-existent alarm, for persons to be against the very thing that is supposed to benefit them.
Yeah.
You understand? So,
Yes.
we must be fully cognizant of how they operate. So you ask about how can we help the nation? That's an uphill task. But many years ago, I had a pastor, and he wanted to make some changes. And one of the things he said, and even the persons who are a part of the New World Order, when you read some of their literatures, right, that was printed from as early as the 20s. It is very similar that when they want to um, impact society and the world at large, what they do, they start with the young, right? Because they consider that the older persons are already set in their ways, right?
Yes.
And we have spoken a lot about education. It's not that the older person cannot be reached. In fact, they can be reached through discussions, but the young is far more impressionable. So what we have to do is to create discussion points, town hall meetings, and areas where persons can ask questions. But before they ask the questions, you produce answers and then field questions from those and information that you're putting forward. And then systematically also get the information from the school level, and that is from the primary coming upward, right? One of the places that persons tend to use a lot of times again is the universities, and that is why the PNP in the 70s. One person on the panel last night stated that there were persons within the halls of academia that were carrying lies, and it's true. It is systematic and it's intended to shape opinions. It could have been you who stated it last night. I don't quite remember, but it is deliberate. It is systematic brainwashing, right? Brainwashing can be good, and it can also be bad. Unfortunately, the PNP has never used it in a good way, right? If you notice, most of the lecturers, it is not by chance that they tend to side with the PNP. Most of the musicians, because music has a message in it, right? Uh, and so when what they tend to do is persons of influence that they target, whether it be informal leaders or formal leaders, right? But they target persons who can influence people's mind, and
Uh-huh.
and and I think this is the only way we're gonna begin to have some inroad, make some inroads in terms of changing people's mind and impacting them and getting them to think differently from the way they are now thinking. I think one of the things that probably is needful also is that the president of these associations has to be met with little by little, right? And spoken to and show them. In fact, sometimes not even little by little, sometimes gather all of these associations in
Yes.
one room, provide some snacks for them or food for them, as part of the budget, right? And decide to have a luncheon with them, right? And you begin to break down.
Continue,
Yes,
Joshua.
yes, and we begin to break down how getting on untimely increases can not only affect the economy at large, but the same persons who receive the increase, how it will not benefit them. Let me give you an example. Last week, I had a conversation with someone, and they were talking about minimum wage increase and where it ought to reach. And I just simply broke it down because the same set of persons who are crying for minimum wage increase, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have it, it's just that everything must be done sensibly. Is that, and the reason we are at this point is twofold. Our production has not risen to the point sufficient to grant those increases, and over the years, the PNP was not granting the increase incrementally. So while the rest of the world was growing, Jamaica was not growing because of a lack of production. And then
Yes.
the pillaging of the national coffers by Mark Golding and crew. And I will call his name because he was the advisor to the Minister of Finance at the time, so he can't sue me for the truth, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? And plus he benefited through FinSAC and Daring Bunting and Golding, right? And so if you grant untimely increases, and let me help people to understand, those who are listening and those who will hear after, is that,
W007. Thank you. Yes,
right,
sir. Go ahead.
when you get those increases, largely minimum wage is paid by private sectors. It's
Yes.
one out of it's one out of two things that is going to happen. In order to grant the increase, they will have to lay off some persons in some entities, depending on which entity it is. So if they should have employed 12 persons, they may have to employ 10 in order to grant the increase. Or if they decide not to use that route, the other route is this: they will now have to increase the prices of goods and services. So
Yes.
yes, you have more money taking home physically, but the value of your money is less because of inflation, right? Because you're now going to drive up inflation. So you used to get 20,000, right? Now you're getting 25,000. But because it was untimely and not incremental, right? You got an increase, and right across the board, all the other private sector industries got increases, right? So you work in our clothing sector, you got an increase, but somebody has to wear those clothes, which means that your boss now because he gives you the increase, now has to increase the price of the clothes that he's selling. So what happens is that the other man out there now is going to pay more for clothes who work in the food sector, but his boss grants him an increase. And in order to pay for that increase, they now have to increase the price of food that you have to buy, right? And so your money is going to reach less and be able to get you less than it would have had you not gotten that increase on a timely basis, you know? And we have to factor these things in before we, follow the PNP's narrative because let us give you one more example. We just had Melissa. Almost 60% of our GDP has been lost. The initial assessment was 41% of GDP. The
Uh-huh.
PIOJ has since revised it, right? So we are now up to about 63% of GDP, which has been lost.
Uh-huh.
If minimum wages increase and other goods and services are increased, then somebody has to pay for that for those increases, right? And because it has to be paid for, and the country is not in a state to pay for those increases, because it's not just the individual or the industry itself, but the country now has to pay for that. And if the government uses the route of printing money, then that in and of itself creates inflation, because
Yes.
printed money it often creates inflation, and that in and of itself puts the country in a worse position than it would have been. So we have to wait a little, band our belly a little longer, and allow the country to gradually grow, and then the increases will be granted. So these are some of the things that persons need to be aware of. Now, I want to comment on Buzzchin commentary earlier, neighbor, and I want to start by asking you a question. Was there ever a time in Jamaica that our homicide rate was close to 1700?
Yes.
All right, good. So if it was close to 1700, are you aware of where it is now?
Well, I understand that at current rate, we're about 234.
No, not um. Well, the that's where it's trending down to. But
Yes.
last year's figure was 670 something. That's where we ended the year on 670 something.
Right. Uh-huh.
Right? Now, the reason I ask these questions because persons need to understand that in a conflict there will be casualty. When we had the homicide rate at close to 1700, you had less civilian casualty. Why? Because the police were not operating the way they would, and a lot
Is
of
that
these.
true? Is that true though? That civilian casualty was less?
And all right. So let me rephrase that in terms of police to civilian, as opposed to civilian by state terrorism.
Uh-huh.
Right, right. I didn't want to use the G-man word. Right. So before Indicom came in, we had a high police fatality. After
Yes.
Indicom came, then it trended down. But since we have been going out there and meeting the criminals, right, then you're having a higher number. And persons need to be more discerning and recognize that in order to stem the monster that was in our country, in the midst of a war, especially when you have the police doing their job, initially you're going to have a high casualty. Yes, you're going to have persons who may fall who are innocent. Some may be innocent, right? But by and large, the reflection in the casualty that we're seeing is because of the engagement with those who terrorize the state,
Uh-huh.
right? And until that trends down, we're gonna have it for a period of time until it gets to, for want of a better term, it's never acceptable, but we're gonna use that euphemistically until we get to an acceptable level, right? When we get to that point where people are less in love with firearms, right? And our crime figures trend down, our homicide rate trend down. What you'll find out is that the homicide rate, the civilian casualty will be less also because there'll be less engagement with the police force, right? And I'm saying to the people who are listening, Jamaicans, you have to warn your nephews, your sons, your brothers, your baby fathers, even the women
Uh-huh.
who are supporters of these things, the mothers who wash the clothes, that and who turn a blind eye, and the baby mama who getting something off it, and even the musicians who talk about his bad man she love was pushing this argument,
Bad man she
right?
loved.
Right.
There is a
We
song
have
that's
to,
that's up.
yes, sir.
Bad
And
man,
we
chill
have,
out.
yes, man. And a lot, and one of the things I find surprising is persons who we would expect better from,
Oh my.
that are
Uh-huh.
professionals, say them love the song.
Oh wow.
Now, it's if you love that song, what it says is that psychologically there's a problem,
Uh-huh.
right? And you're promoting a particular lifestyle which cannot augur well for the society,
Yes.
right? So we are saying, I'm encouraging as a nationalist, as a patriot, I am encouraging and pleading with the people of Jamaica. We have to divorce ourselves from this love affair with toxicity.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a lovely presentation of you, Joshua. I don't know if you're
Thank
gonna
you,
hang
sir.
on with us, but we're gonna
Yeah,
jump back over to
no
TikTok.
problem, sir. And I thank you. Tonight I got a nice little run, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Take care of yourself.
You know, God is doing such a good job. I wouldn't take it from him, you know. But thanks.
All right, great. All right. Okay. 23 minutes to 10 o'clock, and we're here on the Hello Neighbor Show. Please like and subscribe if you are on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We thank you so much. The channel is growing. We like that so much. If you're on TikTok, um,
Uh,
we still have a little.
but by the way, sir, sir neighbor, there's a stowaway over by TikTok that you have over there. You know, there's an extradition request for him. You
There was a
know,
what? There's a what?
extradition request for a stowaway that you have over TikTok over there.
That's Harry.
HH is the initial, sir.
Okay, they want him back over on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, he has to determine that. But remember, Harry, what's happening? What's happening, sir? Why have you left YouTube?
I will leave YouTube neighbor. I just give Joshua some responsibilities, you know?
Oh, okay. Well. Remember, Harry, you started to kind of break this down for us a little bit, and I like where you were going with it. I want to challenge you on 3 points before we have to wrap the question. You can just enlarge on them from it. The first one is that inflation is not uniquely Jamaican. Over the last several years, countries around the world have struggled with higher prices, supply chain disruptions, increased shipping costs. Inflation is not unique to Jamaica's Harry. Comment on that.
Neighbor. In fact, you know, there's a thing for those who may understand economics a little bit more, that there's a good inflation number, which is normally between 3 to 5%.
Yes.
Right? That's normal, right? Because you cannot remove inflation in its entirety. The system is not built to eradicate any form of inflation
Correct.
in that magnitude.
In the same way we
So
get increases in our wages, eh?
Exactly, and some persons would get increase in wages to match that nominal inflation neighbor. Hence why we hear, you know, BOJ mention 4 to 6% as a very good inflation measure. Well, rate to keep it with it, right? It's healthy. No, it is not unique to any specific society, any specific country at all, neighbor. It is something that also impacts smaller member states who don't have the what we call the ability to take advantage of economies of scale.
Yes.
Where you can produce a lot and export more than you import. Now, over the last 3 decades, neighbor, and anybody can challenge me on this, Jamaicans have developed an appetite for foreign goods and services more so than local, for very different reasons, right? Manufacturing was pretty much eradicated in Jamaica in the 90s, so that forced us to look elsewhere. With high production costs when it comes down to energy, you know, that also saw us look elsewhere, because you have the world power like China that's producing millions of goods per day, neighbor, at really ridiculous, basically cents to the dollar, right? And as such, we've grown enticed to that. Globalization has also impacted us in that manner. So we aren't protected when it comes on to that level of inflation. Whatever happens, it's a global economy, free markets right around. Some countries have the specific resources that we require, and as such, when anything impacts those countries' neighbor, our markets feel it, our economies will feel it. Right? And case in point, we look at the Strait of Hormuz, that handles 30% of the world's energy. And it's not just about the energy as well. It will impact the likes of nitrogen, neighbor, when it comes on to fertilizers, because the components that the world requires to produce different fertilizers, 3 of its major components come from that area.
Yes.
So evidently, it is inevitable that once there are any geopolitical issues in and around that area, we will feel it. And it's just a design as to where goods, raw materials are located in the world. We didn't create it, it's just where it is. That is their natural resource, and that is their what we call comparative advantage. Here in Jamaica, when we look in the Caribbean, our comparative advantage is tourism, neighbor, and as such, we are the pearl of the Caribbean when it comes on to tourism and those things. So we can't get rid of inflation. We can only find alternative ways to combat it, to also preempt it as well, neighbor, meaning preparing ourselves, which the government has been doing a very good job over the last decade, bringing down the debt, being aggressive on it. That way we can, structure ourselves better in case we need to borrow. They've also taken blows. And I'm coining it to say blows because in 1 week, right, Petrojam took a $1.3 billion hit, right, just by absorbing the extra cost that it would have been, that should have passed on to us consumers of energy, neighbor, when it comes on to oil. And as such, it shows that it would have taken a matter of time before it had to be, we start feeling the real pinch of it. So it's not something we can remove, neighbor.
Right.
One of the things we can do, though, is there are 3 things that drive inflation in Jamaica. Food, because we love eat out a lot. Transportation. We can see the number of vehicles in and around Jamaica, neighbor. We will see that. And the next one is we're a country that loves our entertainment, neighbor. Those 3 things drive our inflationary rate in Jamaica. And now is a time when we have to cut back because it's going to impact a lifestyle rather than critical measures and elements in our day-to-day living, neighbor.
Well, I want to say good night to Pretty Lady. Oh, Pretty Lady, wow, what a beautiful woman you are. And I want to say thank you to Stitchy. Both persons have made comments in the chat. Thank you so much, Stitchy and Pretty Lady. Big up yourselves. Big up your beautiful self. So the first point, Harry, is that inflation is not uniquely Jamaican. The second point is that governments do not govern under ideal circumstances. Election manifestos are written based on expected conditions, but unexpected crises can fundamentally alter fiscal realities. And a major hurricane, for example, can instantly redirect billions of dollars from planned development projects into emergency relief, infrastructure repairs, housing reconstruction, and social assistance. The first point is that we do not, inflation is not uniquely Jamaican. The second point is that governments do not govern under ideal circumstances, as we are experiencing now, Harry.
Definitely not, neighbor. You have to make do with what you're dealt, play the cards that you're dealt with when you're around the table, neighbor. Definitely sometimes the hand look like it's a losing one, But if you're smart enough, you can bluff sometimes. If you're a betting man, neighbor. But when you have a government that has dealt some really crazy hands, neighbor, COVID for one. Nobody in this generation has ever seen a pandemic.
Right.
None.
Why is it Jamaica? Why is it, Harry? If I may just interrupt you for a minute, why is it that we have not engaged in this type of discussion with the Jamaican people to just get people to understand that these are not normal times? I suspect, Harry, that had we not the hurricane, we probably wouldn't have well, if there was not the war in Iran, there probably would not be a 16% increase in taxi fare. And if we never had Hurricane Melissa, probably this conversation wouldn't even be had tonight, Harry. Why is it that we're not engaging in more of these discussions? That these are not real times. They're not normal times, Harry.
They aren't, neighbor. They aren't. In fact, it's one of the hardest times in the modern era of mankind, right?
And it's not a Jamaican thing.
No, it's not unique to Jamaica. It's not unique to the US. It's not unique to anybody in the Middle East region or wherever, neighbor. It is just what is happening, and a lot of persons may be triggered when I say it is something where the world is shifting. So it's like a reset happening, neighbor. Remember, in terms of what happened with 2008, right? The housing market caused that collapse to economies, and as such, people had to change how they operate. We couldn't be fiscally irresponsible. We had to now take into consideration our budgets as individual. We couldn't get 0% loan again, because that's one of the things that hurt the housing market and caused that collapse. So now we're getting somewhat of another reset where the world is shifting to somewhere else. And like the best attributes of mankind and human beings, neighbor, we are adaptable creatures, and we never ever stop adapt. Because now what is happening is that you either adapt or you die. Less so in terms of the actual term and meaning.
Can I interrupt you, Ari? And because I heard a nonsensical argument today, and you're a man that have studied a bit of econ. You understand the economy. Based on the People's National Party's manifesto, were they in power? Project for me what you think would be happening now. Facing the same situations of oil prices, Melissa, and the PNP's manifesto promises to be fulfilled. What do you think would be happening in the economy?
Well, for one, neighbor, there would be a larger deficit in the budget. So it simply means we would have to borrow more. Take into consideration the People's National Party is the king of taxation. We will also see that increasing. We wouldn't have seen investor confidence, or the government global bonds would get negative readings compared to now. We would also find ourselves in a level of strain for salaries, neighbor. So, and I'm telling you this for sure, I'm 100% sure on this. Those wages that the JT is fighting over, they would have signed a wage freeze. I can almost guarantee you that would have happened. And they would have done so happily. Now, we would also, neighbor, we would have had a cap on, right, in place. Because remember, it was renewed just before Melissa. And the People's National Party was against that. So some of the things that help us to cushion what happened with Melissa, neighbor, was never ever taken into consideration when it comes down to the People's National Party manifesto, right? That increase of the threshold up to 3 million would be non-existent. It would have been promised.
You're saying that it would not have happened?
It would have never happened, neighbor.
Then how? All right, hold on. But we had the hurricane in October.
October 28th, yeah.
The elections were in September. So you are saying that the PNP's proposal of a 3 million threshold could not have happened.
Could not, neighbor. Even at, because the bash the almost 1% growth in the economy while hedging against the 1%, right? And I'm running off the 1%. That is what they were relying on to try and run with the 3 million, and they couldn't figure it out. The math was not mathing. So imagine under these strenuous situations now, neighbor. They would say, listen, they would cry foul. They would be there saying, well, we said it maybe over a period of time, and coming next election, it wouldn't have even been ready. Because we would have been so tight in terms of debt. Because remember, this administration brought down the debt to a level where it was more than acceptable. Our debt to GDP was really good, which means we had a little wiggle room for borrowing if needs be. And I can tell you that, judging by what they were saying, they would have now find ways to reduce that NIR, right? To put money in the economy, which would have hurt it even more. There would have been even money for welfare programs, I can tell you that. So then they'll resort to borrowing again. And it wouldn't have been any forward thinking of how to execute any plans. The one degree per household would have been a dream, would have been like Martin Luther King saying, I have a dream, would have never seen that dream, right? Come to reality. The housing program would have been non-existent as well. They're going to tell you, because of Melissa. So they'll find a lot of excuses for things. And Melissa would have been used for scapegoat, neighbor, sadly, right? Now, the plans that they put were more to grab people, to entice them so they can go to the polls and vote. But none of it would have been in reality. It was created in a vacuum. Those promises, because it is not a central manifesto, they were just promises to appeal to the emotions, to say, oh yes, my one son can get a degree and can get a job, and then now we can get housing this, housing that, and then the tax threshold is going to be 3 million. But what are the implications of trying to achieve it? Because it was not achievable. We have this thing that we call smart neighbor.
Yes.
Right? None of what they put forward is smart, and it is achievable, and it would have never been so. It is not realistic either, right?
Okay, so as we have to run to the clock, Harry, encapsulate for me the fare increase in the context of Jamaica's economic realities. What is the message to the people tonight?
Well, simply put, in a neighbor, it is a necessity, because the fare increase was overdue. That's the first point. It was coming whether or not, whether it is earlier this year, mid this year, or later this year.
And it doesn't matter which government is in power.
It doesn't matter, neighbor. In fact, this government has done really well to cause a level of delay based on how they held the country together.
Yes.
Because we may have been steering down the gun of maybe a second or third increase,
or maybe a 25-30% increase, and a lot of people miss that, Harry, because the fare increase is pegged to other things that are aligned in the economy.
Exactly, and to cushion it, in a neighbor, the rural bus program has come in handy.
And the subsidy at the JUTC.
At the JUTC and the expansion of it.
That's right. So, in other words, the government has provided alternatives for people that they can get to where they are going, including students going to school.
Going to school, exactly. And look at it now, neighbor. This is one of the key, and it's very strategic. It is coming at a time when parents don't have to worry too much about school, neighbor.
Yes.
It is coming into the summer period.
I
can imagine if this was announced
in September.
The government would have to answer big time. But they've done it well, and it's a phased-in thing. They've done enough to to be able to phase it, for the authorities to accept a phase in, right? Rather than the one drop boom. And also it has set parents alike to prepare that, listen, in 3 months' time, if you put on $10 every day leading up to September,
Brilliant.
you won't have to worry about
very, very good point. Very good point. That the government has timed it in a way that the impact will not affect parents having to send their children to school. They can prepare for it in September.
Exactly. And the onus is on the parents now, because no, genuinely you don't have an excuse, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's already in your space. So it is a necessity, neighbor. We can't have it, everybody can't have it their way, right? It is just the natural order. And as such, what I would say though, taxi operators are like, please do not abuse the increase.
Okay, finally, yeah, sorry, finally scratching. Finally, the whole matter of fiscal prudence and compassion. It is something that we have to balance. So government need to be compassionate, provide social programs, provide relief, but at the same time, Harry, government must not be profligate. They must always be fiscally prudent, because if they are not, it is the very people that will be hurt in the long run. This balance between compassion and fiscal prudence, you want to speak to that?
Well, I can tell you this, neighbor, it is not the easiest thing to strike that balance. It is almost next to impossible to get it right every time, right? Even at 50% to get it right, that is a great record. And people may look at the percentage and say, oh, that is 1 out of every 2. No. The impact and the value of getting it right at 50% time, neighbor, is extravagant. Because it simply means the value that you're adding in getting it right 1 out of every 2 times far supersedes not getting it right at all. And what it does, it ensures that you handle the stress, because there's a stress test for different areas and groups of society, you know.
Yes.
In this case, it is one of the most dangerous authorities that can shut down the movement of a country at any given time, and that's transportation, right? People not moving around for even just a day impacts the overall output and production of a country. And you have to handle that in a meticulous way. You can't please everybody, as I said before, but you can strike a balance. But one of the greatest balance that is a problem in this is how Jamaicans have become. You need them to understand. They don't have to understand it 100%, but they need to understand why it is a necessity and how they position themselves to ensure we have that ecosystem of balance, neighbor. Right? Now, when you do that, you increase the chances in terms of the government being able to govern properly.
Yes.
Through equity, because this is an equity standpoint. It is not an equality standpoint. You have to call a spade a spade. You have to give on to Caesar what is unto Caesar, neighbor, right? And people need to understand that. Even if you look at the government's budget over the last 5 years or the last term, you realize that they give different demographics. Each time they come to read a budget, different demographics get something from the package. No one demographic gets everything all the time. If we look at the last one, pensioners got a very good one. Before that, tax threshold was increased, all of that. And it shows that the government is thinking forward, because that increase in salaries struck a balance, neighbor. That additional money that person would be getting, the threshold moving from 1.7 to 1.8 to 1.9 was genius looking back at it. There's a hindsight is 2020, but it was a beautiful thing when you put it into context now. And this is the thing people need to do: exercise patience and understand it, not just from your standpoint, but look at the bigger picture. And once they're able to do that, the government is much more equipped to strike that balance, neighbor, when it comes down to how they govern it in a time like this. Because it is more of a reactionary application, no. Because again, nobody knew that we'd have this level of geopolitical tension that would impact the world, right? And I want to bring it in closing, neighbor, for people to understand that, listen, what Jamaicans are comparing now, they want to have an idea what's happening in Europe.
Yes.
When it comes on to energy, when it comes on to logistics, it is damning for them. And I want to tell all Jamaicans, listen, we have it good. Put into context and understand, we have it good. And that's one of the major things we can give thanks for. Cost the government as much as you want. But when you get to see the bigger picture and understand what's happening globally, you will be on the side to say Jamaica is being governed and governed well.
That's a fantastic point, and it's a fantastic way to end. I don't think that anyone can fault you for that. What a wonderful presentation from a very talented young Jamaican man, member Harry. Thank you so much, Harry.
Always, neighbor.
Boy, you deserve a.
And you too. I haven't forsaken you now. Coming back and I'm coming back with a bang.
Yeah. Very good. All right, listeners, let's jump over to YouTube and get over to Shafreen. Shafreen is going to tell us what the listeners say in the polls and the questions. Shafreen, what are the listeners saying tonight?
Yes, neighbors. So there were two polls that were asked. So I'm going to ask, the first one was, are fare increases unavoidable when fuel and operating costs rise? And there's no right and wrong, and it all depends on the strategy that the government decides to go with. So 45% said yes, 39% said no, depends on the circumstances, 12%, sometimes 4%. So what I wanted to say is that the poll is really asking about cost recovery, right? So transportation companies, they face the same kind of economic pressures that you face in your daily life, right?
Yes.
So increase fuel costs, spare parts increase, tire increase, insurance increase, labor, loan payment increase, all that stuff, right? All this inflation. And so what happens is that if they keep having to have cost rise and they don't find a way to make up the difference in how they earn in their businesses, they're going to go under eventually. So in a way, it's not a good idea for the economy to develop and not have any kind of increase. Because there's inflation, there will be some, but it all depends on the rate of the inflation. And sometimes governments don't have much of control over that, right? Unless they're printing money. But otherwise, they don't really have a lot of control. It's a lot of times it's outside factors that influence the inflation rate. And I want to go into this just real quick. So just to give you an example, right? So you have a bus, and the bus carried 100 passengers, and each passenger pays $100. So what that bus collects during that trip is $10,000, right? So now say they're going to go get some fuel. The fuel's $3,000, and this is before any inflation. They have to do some fixing, maintenance, $2,000. Driver gets $2,000 for the trip. The insurance has to be paid, and when it's calculated out, it's $1,000. Expenses or other stuff, all of that come up to $8,000, right? So you're left with $2,000 for each trip, right? So now when you apply inflation to that, you're going to end up, and this is just the scenario based off of like conservative inflation price. You're going to end up paying, instead of the $3,000, $4,500. Maintenance, instead of $2,000, $3,000. Driver, you pay $2,500. Insurance, $1,500. So your expenses come up to $11,500. So you still only bring in $10,000. So that leave you in a negative. Who's gonna cover that, right? And that is the question. So So really, when the government is stepping in, it is to correct certain things that's going on in the economy. So when they step in and say they decided that they're gonna raise the fare, or they're gonna raise um, minimum wage and stuff like that, like in this case, the fare, right? You end up with the passenger paying more, and nobody likes that. Nobody wants to pay more to ride the bus or the taxi or whatever per trip. So the pros of that is that the system that is already there to support transportation, it remains viable, right?
Yes.
And for instance, like the buses where the government is funding those, though they end up spending less money having to subsidize that. The second option is if the government decides that they're going to pay the difference, and that is very much unsustainable. So what you end up with is you might end up pay the same fare, but at the same time, the taxpayers are going to pay indirectly the excess that it takes for these buses and transportation vehicles to actually run. You end up with the government might end up in debt over it. And then you end up with less money to spend on roads, schools, and hospitals. And nobody wants that. We need Jamaica to develop, like, I mean, it's one of those rock and a hard place kind of situation. And you just have to think about what's in the best interest of the country in this case.
Yeah.
And then the next one is if the operators decide to absorb the losses, right? So if the taxis, they're like, okay, well, too bad, you have to pay more, but who cares? Then what happened? The operators, they go bankrupt. So people complaining that JUTC is not coming on time, you're going to end up with no taxis coming either. You don't want that. You need to get to where you're going, right? And you need to get there on time. So here's the thing. In economics, somebody has to pay, right? And it's not about whether or not the cost exists. It's about who's going to pay them. So is it the passenger who's going to pay it? Is it the taxpayer who's going to pay it? Is it the government? Is it the bus operator? And that is what the government has to think about when they're thinking about, okay, what's going to happen when with all the external factors that influence cost increase, and they have an economy to run. So these are some of the things that they have to consider when they make these decisions.
All right. Do you have a second poll there, or that's it?
I do. Okay. So the second poll is kind of related, but it's more broad because the government has to do this all the time. The government has to make some really unpopular decisions that nobody likes. Whether or not you voted for them, you probably don't like it. But they have to do that all the time. They have to make some really tough decisions.
Yes.
So the second poll is, do you think Jamaicans understand the trade-offs government face? Right? So for that one, the polls were no for 63%, yes for 19%, somewhat 11%, not sure 7%. Right? So what the trade-off means is that you cannot get everything at once. Sometimes you want everything to get done one time. You want the road to fix, you want the school to fix, you want this and that. But the Westmoreland, you want this and that. The government cannot do everything at once. Some things have to, give, and then later on certain things get done. So what you end up with is, for example, people want higher wages, right? And they want lower prices. It makes sense. They want to save money. They want to put away for a rainy day. But unfortunately, wages are also business costs, right? So when you pay additional increase in wages, you end up go to the restaurant, you want to buy some KFC, you're going to pay more because somehow they're going to have to recoup the cost that they're paying for wages. The stores, you're going to go there, you want to buy some nice thing for your girl or whatever, you pay more, right? And so on. And then the second scenario is like, okay, you want better road, you want better school, you want better hospital, you want better schools and police and social programs. But at the same time, you want lower taxes. So it's like the government has to find a balance between that. sometimes they might have to increase taxes a little, and nobody likes that because everybody wants to hoard their money. But it's just the government needs to run, and services need to be there so that they can support the people in the country, right? So the government might not be able to do all of those things at once. Sometimes they might have to choose to do the roads, then they do the hospitals, then they do the schools, and then the police, so on and so forth. So they might not be able to do everything one time. Most times they cannot. And this is not unique to Jamaica. This is everywhere across the world because government doesn't have unlimited funds. You see?
Well,
Yeah, so if you want, like, say another scenario real quick here is people want lower transportation fares, right? And lower tax and lower government debt.
uh-huh.
But guess what? These all three of those, if you cannot have all of them at once, like you can't, like they all conflict. So as much as it might be, like it's literally like a pie in the sky. Like you just want all of those things, but you can't really have all of those things because resources are limited, and the government never has enough money, time, labor, material, people, all that stuff. Then the government has a limited amount of everything, right? Every government, like I said, in the world. So the real question is, what should government prioritize first? Right? What should they prioritize first? So when you see all these unpopular decisions being made, really think about it. Okay, I don't like this, but what should they like? If it was me and it's my household, they're running a country. But
Yeah.
let's look at it like it's your household. What do you want to prioritize first? Sometimes you might have to choose between something or another thing, and you're not happy with it, but that's what's gonna have to do, right? So if you were the prime minister and you have $100 billion to spend, what would you choose? You want to choose lowering bus fare? You want to choose roads? You want to choose better hospitals, lower taxes, more police, more housing? So those are the things that the government has to think about, and they have to consider all those things when they're making all these tough decisions.
Gotta leave it there,
So
Shifreen. Yep. Okay. Great.
yeah, so it's not good government. Don't get judged by whether they eliminate scarcity. That's important. They get judged by how wisely they manage scarcity.
Uh-huh. All
Yes.
right. Good governments don't get judged by how they eliminate scarcity. They get judged by
Right.
how they manage it. Well,
Right.
that's
That
gonna
is
have to do it for us.
impossible. Right. It's impossible to eliminate scarcity. So what they
Fantastic.
have to do is manage it and manage it wisely.
Uh-huh. Maybe Allah. Pretty lady. Oh, thank you so much for that. Well, YouTube, that's gonna have to do it for us at 14 after 10 o'clock. Catch you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. As a matter of fact, I probably will have a little plan for you tomorrow. Let's not make a promise, but we're trying probably to do something else for you tomorrow. Take care, Shefreen. Bye bye.